Ever wondered what happens when two unstoppable forces collide? For over a century, the ancient world held its breath as two titans, Rome and Carthage, clashed in a struggle for absolute dominance of the Mediterranean. This wasn't just a series of battles. It was an epic saga of ambition, betrayal, and legendary generals that would shape the course of Western civilization forever. This is the story of the Punic Wars. Our story begins in the 3rd century BC. Rome, at this point, was a rising power, a republic fueled by military might and an insatiable hunger for expansion. They had conquered most of the Italian peninsula and were now looking outward. But as they gazed across the sea, their eyes met the empire of Carthage. Located in modern-day Tunisia, Carthage was the reigning maritime superpower. Their vast trade network, powerful navy, and immense wealth made them the undisputed masters of the Western Mediterranean. It was inevitable that these two expanding empires would eventually come into conflict. The spark that lit the flame was the island of Sicily. Sicily was a strategic gem, breadbasket, and a crossroads of trade. Both Rome and Carthage had interests there, and a local dispute in the city of Messina provided the perfect excuse for intervention. In 264 BCE, Rome sent its legions across the strait, a direct challenge to Carthaginian influence. And so began the First Punic War. Initially, the war was a stalemate. Rome's legions were supreme on land, but at sea, they were no match for the experienced Carthaginian navy. The Romans were not natural sailors, but they were brilliant engineers and incredibly persistent. They captured a wrecked Carthaginian warship, reverse-engineered it, and built their own fleet. But they added a secret weapon, a large, spiked boarding bridge called the corvus. This device would slam down onto an enemy ship, locking the two vessels together and allowing the Roman legionaries to storm across and turn a sea battle into a land battle. It was a game changer. After more than 2 decades of brutal fighting, heavy losses, and incredible feats of naval engineering, Rome finally defeated Carthage at sea. In 241 BCE, a defeated Carthage signed a peace treaty, surrendering Sicily and paying a massive indemnity to Rome. The peace, however, was fragile. Carthage was humiliated and financially ruined. This bitterness was personified in one man, Hamilcar Barca, a brilliant Carthaginian general. Legend has it that he made his young son, Hannibal, swear an oath of eternal hatred toward Rome. Hamilcar then set about rebuilding Carthaginian power in the Mediterranean, but in Spain. He conquered vast territories, securing immense wealth from Spain's silver mines and training a new, professional army. After Hamilcar's death, his son Hannibal took command, and he was even more brilliant and more determined than his father. In 218 BCE, Hannibal decided the time for revenge had come. He deliberately provoked a conflict with a Roman allied city in Spain, knowing it would lead to war. Rome declared war, expecting to fight in Spain and Africa. They never imagined what Hannibal would do next. In one of the most audacious military moves in history, Hannibal decided to take the fight directly to Rome. He marched his army, including dozens of war elephants, out of Spain, through Gaul, and over the treacherous, snow-covered Alps into Italy. The journey was brutal. He lost nearly half his men and most of his elephants to the harsh conditions and hostile tribes. But the men who emerged in the Po Valley were hardened, loyal, and ready for battle. Hannibal then proceeded to inflict a series of devastating defeats on the Romans. At the Trebia River and Lake Trasimene, he used brilliant tactics and ambushes to annihilate entire Roman armies. The Roman Republic was in a state of panic. In response, they appointed a dictator, Quintus Fabius Maximus, who adopted a controversial new strategy. Instead of facing Hannibal in a pitched battle, Fabius shadowed his army, launching small-scale raids and cutting off his supply lines, a tactic that would later be known as Fabian strategy. While effective, it was seen as cowardly by the Romans, who craved a decisive victory. So, they replaced Fabius and assembled the largest army Rome had ever fielded, some 80,000 men. In 216 BCE, at a place called Cannae, they met Hannibal's much smaller force. What happened next is still studied in military academies today. Hannibal used a brilliant double envelopment tactic. He placed his weaker troops in the center, which slowly gave way under the massive Roman assault. As the Romans pushed forward, Hannibal's elite cavalry, positioned on the wings, swung around and attacked the Roman legions from the rear, completely encircling them. The result was a slaughter. By the end of the day, tens of thousands of Roman soldiers lay dead. It was Rome's darkest hour. Hannibal had destroyed army after army, yet he didn't march on the city of Rome itself. Why? Historians debate this, but it's likely he lacked the siege equipment and manpower to take the heavily fortified city. Instead, he hoped Rome's allies would defect, and the Republic would collapse from within. But he underestimated Roman resilience. They refused to surrender. They raised new armies, and a new Roman general emerged to challenge Hannibal's genius, Publius Cornelius Scipio. Scipio had studied Hannibal's tactics. Instead of fighting Hannibal in Italy, he did what Hannibal had done. He took the war to the enemy's home turf. Scipio led a Roman army into Spain, conquering Carthage's valuable territories. Then, he boldly invaded North Africa, threatening the city of Carthage itself. This forced the Carthaginian government to recall Hannibal from Italy to defend his homeland. The final showdown came in 200 BCE on the plains of Zama. It was the clash of the titans, Hannibal versus Scipio. This time, Scipio turned Hannibal's own tactics against him. He figured out how to counter the war elephants and used his superior cavalry to encircle and crush the Carthaginian army. Hannibal had finally been defeated. The Second Punic War was over. Carthage was stripped of its empire, its navy was burned, and it was forbidden from waging war without Rome's permission. For half a century, an uneasy peace reigned. Carthage focused on trade, and actually became quite prosperous again. But in Rome, the old hatreds lingered. One senator, Cato the Elder, was so obsessed with the idea of Carthage's destruction that he would end every speech he gave, regardless of the topic, with the words, Carthago delenda est, Carthage must be destroyed. Finally, Rome found its excuse. Carthage, in self-defense, raised an army to fight off a neighboring kingdom, technically breaking the treaty. That was all Rome needed. In 149 BCE, they declared the Third Punic War. This wasn't really a war, it was a siege. The Carthaginians fought with desperate courage for 3 years, but the outcome was never in doubt. In 146 BCE, Roman soldiers stormed the city. What followed was a week of brutal street-by-street fighting, ending in the complete and utter destruction of Carthage. The city was burned to the ground, its buildings torn down, and its people either killed or sold into slavery. The story that the Romans sowed the fields with salt is likely a later invention, but it captures the spirit of their intention to wipe Carthage from the face of the earth. With the fall of Carthage, Rome's last great rival was gone. The Punic Wars transformed the Roman Republic from a regional Italian power into the undisputed master of the Mediterranean. The wealth and territory they gained would fuel their expansion for centuries to come, but the wars also sowed the seeds of the Republic's own eventual downfall, creating vast social and political strains. The epic struggle between Rome and Carthage is more than just ancient history. It's a timeless story of power, ambition, and the clash of civilizations that forged the world we live in today. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through one of history's greatest conflicts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the past. See you next time.